Biz Files. I'm Rosanne DeTorres, and I'm the host of Biz Files. Biz Files is the talk show for business owners by business owners, where you'll get tips and insights from successful entrepreneurs who reveal their secrets to success and the pitfalls to avoid. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out in business, Biz Files offers business owners proven strategies for starting and scaling your business. Learn to think like an entrepreneur with Biz Files. Please check out my website at bizfiles.tv for information about future editions of Biz Files and tantalizing information and resources for entrepreneurs. Joining us today is Debbie Wolpo. Now, Debbie is the National Sales Executive for Premier Payments, powered by NewTek. As a business owner or the finance department responsible for your organization, it's important to reduce costs and streamline the administrative process. Debbie has worked with 700 accounts, cutting their merchant processing costs and providing secure technology for processing electronic payments. She uses a holistic, service-oriented approach to create cost-effective, customized solutions catering to the specific needs of each client. Her competitive pricing strategies, combined with her commitment to innovative customer service, has made her a leader in her industry and an asset for any business. Welcome to my show, Debbie. Thank you so much for joining me.
Here I am.
I'm sure you do, because as a successful, really, intrapreneur is what we could call you.
Yes.
You've made quite an impression on a lot of people who use your services. And I know a little known fact about you, and that's that you're a marathon runner and also a very successful triathlete. So let's start there. How does your marathon training and experiences with triathlon integrate with your philosophy about your skills and how you work with people?
Well, they're all the same, really, because I'm an individual person in a group sport, or I'm an individual performer with thousands of runners, swimmers, bikers, marathoners. So it's about working and doing my best, but also I have the ability to train with amazing people or work with amazing people. I surround myself by a network of fantastic women in business, as well as my back office in Long Island, even though I sit in New Jersey. So I'm a one-woman show, but the second, my race friends like to say there are two Debbies. There's Race Day Debbie and there's Training Debbie. Training Debbie knows that it's a journey, it's a process, goal-oriented, systematic, following a plan, yet not all out sprint where you're breathless and running for a finish. But Race Day Debbie, when she's at that start, and she knows the faster she runs, the faster she's done. And so it's how I view my work. You know, as a salesperson, I eat what I kill.
Okay.
I'm judged on my performance. And in races, especially now that I'm in the over category, you're judged on your performance. So I love to win in my race, win in my age, win overall, and do the best that I can. So I think they're one in the same.
Awesome. So I love your competitive spirit, and explain to my audience what you mean by you eat what you kill.
Well, in sales, you don't get paid unless you sell. And it used to be just going and introducing yourself and people will give you a shot. You really need to prove yourself, be true to your word, and have your group or network sell for you based on what you've done for them. So there are only 24 hours in a day. Again, I'm being competitive here, and sleep so many and you work out so many and you eat, and so you really have to maximize that time. And if you don't capture a sale and get them today and keep them for tomorrow, you're not making any money. So it's really about maximizing your time, relationships, and being true to your customers and looking out for them as well as yourself.
So tell us about that. How is it that you acquire a customer? What is the source of most of your customers, and how do you get them?
So it's funny. I started 8 years ago. Oh, I should show you this. It's very funny. So talk about eat what I kill. This is my first paycheck ever. $1.40. And I keep it on my bulletin board to remind me that it started with one account, and I started walking into local downtown stores that I frequent. When you think of merchant services and you think of credit card processing, you think of retail and you think of restaurants. So that's where I started. However, all types of businesses, even divorce attorneys, take credit card payments. I am also a preferred vendor for a large nonprofit across the country, as well as providing merchant services for internet, as well as mobile, and professionals such as Rosanne's business. So I get my customers now by networking, by referrals, by my strategic alliances. A few years ago, Donna Miller, the great wise Donna Miller, said, network more strategically. So I know.
Yeah, what does that mean? Let's break that down.
Oh, okay. So it's very simple. I just found that I really like to network. Therefore, I'm an ambassador for the chamber. I'm in charge of the Women in Business program. I network with a lot of people, but my particular customer is either a business owner, entrepreneur, the CFO or controller for that business, or an outsourced CFO, controller, lawyer that handles that type of financial information. So I do a general, holistic, huge networking overflow, but I've really started to partner with some accountants, CFOs for hires, even some banks that either don't provide merchant services or are unhappy with who they had in the past. And so, working smarter, more efficiently, more effectively, and doing the best I can for my accounts. I came into this business as a very seasoned mother. And so I like to think I mother my accounts, sometimes too much, but I make it easy for the process being meet them, analyze what they're currently doing, see if there's cost savings based on just rates, structure, as well as how they're taking payments, and try and make it more efficient and effective for them, not just saving them money, but maybe giving them a customer database or making mobile payments something accessible for their salespeople in their force, as opposed to, taking the information back and keying it in. So I look at holistically, and then I try and make it, hand-holding throughout the process.
The way that you've been able to build your business, because you only get paid for what you sell, I would say your biggest asset has been able to build relationships with people that refer you, not just the end user or the end customer, but you have created these relationships through your networking activities that's been able to help you build a group of, let's call them raving fans, that when people think about payment processing, credit card services, they think of Debbie Wolpo.
I hope so, and I've spent a lot of time and effort in that. As the chairperson for the Women in Business program alone, I, can spend between 10 and 12 hours a week just on the chamber. And I feel passionate about the chamber because it's helped me grow individually And also my bottom line economically, I mean, if it wasn't for the chamber, I wouldn't have as many customers as I do, but it also polished me and created my brand. I sell me, and what I sell, you get everything that I am. And so it's been really been my pleasure. And when I talk about it, like we were out Saturday night and my husband mentioned that I was just named to the board of directors, and I got on a little bit of my soapbox about the chamber, and my friend who's in banking said, you sit up straighter when you start talking about your chamber and your women in business. I said, what can I say? You give back to an organization that has given you so much and helped define you. So did I answer your question? I don't know.
Absolutely. Oh, definitely. It's great. It's great stuff. But I want to go back to what you said about strategic networking. Let's get really granular. So what do you mean by strategic networking, and how do you do that?
I like to be the superhero, so the superhero could come in and save money, but in retail space, they've been beaten up a lot because you get directly to the person. So when you deal with professionals or business-to-business transactions, there's a lot of things that I can do to become a bigger hero for their bottom line. And to get to that person, they're not necessarily street front. They're hidden. So how do you get to those companies?
How do you do that?
How did I get to an oil company? How did I get to a technology company? How did I get to a uniform company? How do you get to these companies when they're just, and they don't necessarily even show up at Business Connections at the Morris County Chamber because they're not a singlepreneur, an entrepreneur. They don't think that they need that. By meeting with their accountants, CFOs, outsourced CFOs, bookkeepers that work for them. And therefore, I not only make a hero of myself, but I make their accountants, CFOs, and bookkeepers heroes as well. So I make us all look good.
So the takeaway there is you identified the referral industry that's best suited for you, which were accountants, financial professionals that have access. And so as part of your business development efforts, you would nurture those relationships, and that segued you into gaining access to the decision makers who were in the back, hidden, so to speak, as you say, so that you could get that business for yourself.
Absolutely. Well said. And the way I nurtured those relationships, it's very simple. Being myself, working with them, providing, meeting them at the chamber for lunches, for coffees, for drinks. True networking, not sending an email, will you refer me? Obviously, I use LinkedIn a ton, but people, when you're dealing with businesses and their bottom line and their finances, they have to feel comfortable and secure. So first and foremost, they're secure normally with their accountants. And their bankers and their banking relationships. And that's where I come in, because I have developed these relationships with a number of accountants, banks, and CFOs and bookkeepers for hires. And then I take on maybe one of their customers and provide my services. And therefore, it's like that old Prel commercial. And they recommend two people, and then it grows exponentially. So then you're back to eat what you kill, and you started with one kill, and you've grown exponentially. So that's how
it works. That's how you created that network.
But you always have to stay true to yourself.
Right.
And sell for not only today but for tomorrow, and be available. I travel quite a bit, as do you, but my phone and my emails are always on. I don't know how to totally shut off. And I don't like to totally shut off, because if my customer needs me, I want to be there in any way I can to help. So
let's go
back.
They
remember that. They know.
Yes. So your accessibility and responsiveness has been one of your signature trademarks, and I think that's important. That's a good segue into what you said before about polishing your brand and creating a unique selling proposition. Talk to us a little bit more about how you created that brand image. What techniques did you use? How were you able to do that? So, for example, your responsiveness is one of your unique selling propositions, your accessibility to your clients, obviously saving them money. But when you talked about polishing your brand, what did you mean by that?
Well, let me start by saying none of this was premeditated. I didn't say I needed to do A through Z and then I'd be a success. Everything comes out of your journey and your experience. And I've had a wonderful role model in that my husband is the ultimate sales professional. And I, at the beginning, definitely utilized a lot of his advice and inquired as to paths or ways he would handle a particular situation. And then also by trial and error. Sure, there are a lot of times that I should have done this and I did that. And so a lot of trial and error. Again, negotiating with children is good practice to negotiate with anyone. I just actually finished a book, Never Split It in the Middle, Never Split the Difference. So I do tend to read, or now I have Audible books, which is great. So my hands could be free so I could do other things. I love that. And so I've learned along the way as part of, my upbringing, my child rearing, my parenting, my relationship with my husband. And then really the icing on the cake was the availability of the Morris County Chamber, watching, networking and transacting and living and dealing with all of our wonderful people at the Chamber. I've learned so much from Angela, from Cheryl, from the great Rosanne DeTorres. If you guys don't know, read her bio. You can't imagine how many things this woman is able to accomplish in a day, in a week, in a year.
You're too kind.
She's amazing. So yes, by having these wonderful mentors.
So the takeaway there is really to let the journey unfold and use the tools that are available to you. In your particular situation, you said that you availed yourself of a lot of opportunities through your local Chamber of Commerce. That's one way to do it. The networking opportunities and so forth. So that's really awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about what you really do. How do you make a difference to your customers? What is it that you do that's different from, say, other payment processing salespeople?
Well, actually, I look at none of them as competitors.
That's great.
Even though they are, because I don't believe that, first of all, they're available to their customers 24/7, even if they're out of the country. I know that to be a fact. Okay. The other thing that I do is I make sure that I make everyone comfortable with the process, with the transformation, and look for savings in places where people never thought to look before. Mm-hmm. Whether it's SIC codes and nonprofits, whether it's interchange rates with business to government, business to business. There are a lot of little nuances I've learned over the 8 years. And then making sure that they are trained, installed, set up. So for instance, the last 6 months, a lot of my cafes have been switching over to a Clover POS system, which is an Android-based POS system. I don't just sign them up and send them the equipment and say, good luck. I go, I install. A lot of their employees are hourly wage employees. They had one woman who was going through a tragedy. Her husband, who had since passed, had liver cancer. And when I went to install on a Friday, she had to leave and she didn't give the training enough time, and she was nervous, but she had so much other stuff on her mind. I actually showed up on Monday morning at 6 a.m. when she opened the cafe too, and stayed until 9 a.m. to make sure she was comfortable with running transactions and taking the payments on the system, because it was new to her. And she's not my direct client. Her boss isn't my direct client. The owner of the company is. He probably doesn't even know that I did.
Right.
But I did that because she needed a little bit of extra help. And that's the difference. They're major terminal upgrades or internet upgrades that are going through the system currently.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of letting my customers call into customer service, I actually call them and show up at their terminal, on their terminal level, and actually perform those upgrades. Now that I'm looking at you, I think you're okay because it was late enough and you weren't on my list, but I need to find that out. So yes, that's what I'm in the process of doing. So most salespeople just say, okay, I sold the account.
Yeah.
You know, some of these accounts are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years later. You know, I handle something called PCI compliance for my accounts too. And I walk them through that, and I make sure periodically I look on either their statement or online, and I see whether or not they have expired, and I work with them. So I find myself spending so much time dealing with customers that I already have. However, it keeps them for the future. So it's an investment, and I love that because these customers I have helped go through ups and downs of life, including divorce and everything.
So you're planting seeds, and you're planting seeds for your future by nurturing these relationships, even when those relationships are not necessarily with the decision maker that's purchasing your services.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you a little bit about the way that being involved in an organization like your Chamber of Commerce has influenced your career and your entrepreneurial skills.
Well, it's funny. I go back to Saturday night and dinner, and the wife said, oh, well, you know, your chamber, it's probably just all retail. And I said, I don't even know of any retail in our Chamber of Commerce. So these are like-minded individuals all working on growing their business and growing their brand, but mutually beneficial. I really have never met a group of people except even in my running group. We're still out for our better scores, our better times, you know, in our age group. So we train together and we root for each other and we want to see each other succeed. But in the chamber, I have never seen such an embracing group of individuals. And it's that pay it forward mentality. So now, not only do I have my CRM system on my computer tracking my customers, but I also have an Excel spreadsheet tracking my referrals and who I can connect with who and how I can be of service and how I can pay it forward. So when we all succeed, you know, it's a win-win.
So I like what you said about the chamber, this particular chamber, as being very generous and supportive. And then you mentioned how you track referral sources and have a CRM. Tell the audience what that is and why that's important for your business.
Well, my CRM is my customer relation management system.
Mhm.
It's really changed our business. Not only saving time, but really tracking the leads that I get, following up on the leads. But if a current customer, future customer needs any services, so I would upload. With the way I get an account, I usually, if they're already processing, I usually get a current merchant statement, and I create a profile for them in my CRM, which is Salesforce. I do an analysis. Everything goes through the system, so it's no more calling. Did you get it? Everything has, an area that is responsible for either sending an analysis, sending it back, opening an account, closing an account, whatever it might be. And if one of my customers has a bank change or moving, it's all done through the CRM. So I just upload a ticket, and it saves time, and it's so much more efficient for me and for my back office to handle. So I think we started it about, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, and it has been life-changing. It's a wonderful tool, and I could watch the progress of an account from start to finish, from analysis all the way through uploading the application, and then underwriting, which is sometimes a challenge as well, depending on the account and the owner's history, and then watching it through fruition. And then I have a lot of online tools, so I can go on and actually access statements or chargebacks and help my customers.
Debbie, tell my audience how they can find you. What's your contact info?
Oh, it's my everyone just either calls me. It's funny how different people reach out depending on their age. So I'll get text messages, or I'll get phone calls, or I'll get emails. But my phone number is 201-538-6014. You can feel free to reach out to me on my cell. Text me, call me. I'll give you 2 emails. dwolpov@premierpayments.com, but I'll spell out my full name on my Gmail account, which is debbiewolpov@gmail.com, and it is DEBBIE, and Wolpov spelled W, O as in Oscar, L as in Larry, P as in Peter, O as in Oscar, V as in Victor @gmail.com, in case you can't spell Premier Payments.
Well, we're out of time today, and I'd like to thank Debbie Wolpo for joining me on Biz Files, and to everyone listening and watching, thank you for joining me for this edition of Biz Files, the talk show for business owners by business owners. Please visit me on my website, bizfiles.tv, where you'll find information about future editions of Biz Files and tantalizing information and resources for entrepreneurs.
Wait,
That's
can
all.
I just one thing? Because
Yes.
it just reminded me. So if anyone watches Cable 12 News, so one of my customers became a good friend, and I became a customer to them because I have lots of cars, and they always I did a commercial for Robbie's Auto because my customer I became his customer, and now I'm doing a commercial. So what sets me apart? These relationships that set you apart.
It's amazing.
Without a doubt. And the same with you.
And thank you for so much. I'm grateful for you to spend your time with us today. That's all for now.